Hey, HGA Nation, Trevor Nelson. Before we jump in this episode, I just want to let you know lovely, lovely feedback from our guest, Elizabeth Bordelon, who just raised over $25,000 for her children's private high school. She talks about not just consignment opportunities like the ones that we offer, but just the idea of having cool stuff, frankly, for donors to bid on in your silent auction, live auction. And think about this when you're planning your next event. Elizabeth has 17 years of volunteer experience raising money for her children's schools and other nonprofits that she's obviously volunteered to be on the board and committees for. Such a lovely, lovely person. She obviously, you'll be able to tell, has a future in fundraising if she ever decides to get in the space, because she's just a wealth of knowledge just from, she said, just from practical experience and, hits and misses along the way. And she knows a ton. So I know you're going to get a lot of value out of this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. A really, really cool story about raising money at her children's high school. Everybody, this is Elizabeth Bordelon. Bailey, music. It's really cool, Elizabeth, that you're taking the time. This is part of a venture of ours where, so we work with obviously nonprofits all over the nation, thousands of events a year, and there's some giant nonprofits where it's paid staff and they raise $1 million every event. And then there's nonprofits where they raise a lot of money, but they're very understaffed and it's like a team of 3. And maybe they host 2 fundraising events, a year. Right, exactly. But you're a volunteer though, right? I mean, when you're raising money for your children's school and you've done a lot of events and you've been a part of a lot of events and sat on boards and committees and all the above, correct? And so that's a whole nother, you're very savvy because you're a savvy business person. You're very savvy about, I knew right away when we talked about this most recent fundraising event that you host for the Catholic school your children go to, that you knew what you were doing right away. But, it's like,
at least I made it sound like I did.
No, 100%, 100%. And that's why we wanted to have you on, because we really want to start. We're talking to consultants all the time. Obviously, we talk a lot. When I say we, my partner Jason and I, about we give our best information away from free. But I'm really grateful that you're taking the time to talk about how you raised money, at your event.
Yeah, of course.
We can talk about the products and all that good stuff. And we're just so grateful. So Elizabeth Bordelon, thanks so much for coming. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah,
Happy to do it.
I appreciate it.
So yeah, I think that I've been involved in one way or the other with fundraisers and silent auctions and live auctions for my children's school. They've always gone to private schools, to Catholic schools. And so the better part of 17 years. And I think that we've seen a shift in, well, I'm retiring after this year.
Right. Because the graduation rate has increased.
I'm graduating with him. Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But, I think we've seen a shift in the way that people raise money and what they do. And in the past, especially with any private school or small private organization, we used to rely very heavily on our donors. And what we've learned throughout the years is that a lot of times that's all coming from the same well. You're getting the same people to donate, and the same restaurants, the same restaurant owners, the same business owners, the same wealthy families who might be able to donate, a vacation home or something like that to the mix. Yeah. And not only has the economy changed and their ability to donate changed, but you also don't want to have donor fatigue. You don't want to keep going back to your same people over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And the way that the entire consignment travel thing came to me was that it actually, my husband and I purchased a trip at another local event. And I was in awe because I didn't ever know of consignment travel or a way to get any of that other than someone donating it to me.
Yeah.
And one of the things that used to be a challenge with that was you donate your vacation home to me and we put it up for auction and it goes for a reasonable reserve, but not much more than that. And then you're looking at me being like, I gave up a week of my vacation home and you didn't raise a lot of money with it. Yeah. And so it's sort of, you almost felt responsible for raising or not
Yeah. A
raising
missed
enough money.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So that's when we came to the whole, consignment travel thing. And really, when we came across HGA, I accidentally came across them by another local organization, a junior league organization that was using you guys. And I was just thrilled because it was an opportunity to offer better trips, to offer better things. And because we don't get a lot of single donations and we're kind of making these things, maybe we're like putting together baskets of
Yeah.
donations so that it packages, we're putting together our own packages and things like that. To
Mhm.
be able to offer trips is just something that, people are like, wow, did you
Mhm.
see all the trips they have over there? And it creates a buzz that you didn't have before and
Yeah.
allows you to bring in single dollar items that are a lot more bang for your buck than you were getting with just a basket. Not that those are bad, but
Yeah.
you're not going to raise the kind of money you need to raise if you don't have large dollar items.
Totally. Just simply not as profitable, as you mentioned. And
Yeah.
listen, I know you're not saying this at all, but hey, we need everything. We say we want to be equal opportunity receivers. So
Yeah.
if you get an
Yeah.
awesome bottle of whatever bourbon or, some great wine, you got to make the basket, and that's fantastic. But it
Yes.
needs to be, another thing that you said, because you've been doing this for a long time, Elizabeth. I knew that you had it down right away when you and I spoke. You know more than a lot of folks, and based on experience, but you're also very forward thinking, and you see what's happening, and okay, this is obvious, and we can be more profitable here and stuff. But like I said, we want to be equal opportunity receivers. We got to take it all, from all, walks and different categories. And I like to say different budgets, right? Like someone's got a straight giving budget. Someone's got a trip budget. Someone's got the wine budget when they go to an event. These
Yeah.
things are typically preordained, right? But
Hmm.
also what I hear you saying is that, folks just don't want junk, at the event either. You know what I mean? Like you said, donor fatigue. It's like, hey, we didn't do well. We get a lot of feedback. We didn't do great in our silent auction and live auction before we met you guys. And we're like, well, put some stuff in there that folks want.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that changes. So for me right now, just like I said, donors have changed and what they donate changes.
Totally.
Also the items. So when my children were younger and we did auctions for the schools and events, it was a thing where like we would do like class projects, like your children made this
Hmm.
picture frame and
Yep.
they all put their thumbprints on it, or they made this platter and they painted this piece of pottery or whatever. And the moms, it's the moms. I say the moms because the
Yeah.
dads are just sitting there with their checkbook, right? The moms are like they're fighting over this. I mean, I literally had
I love
moms.
that.
I mean, this is going to sound horrible, but I literally had moms get in an almost fist fight over an item because there was only one and they wanted one. So it was like, okay, if I'm only going to sell one, then then I want this. Or this particular item was like, we used to do a class picture of the children every year and have them sign the mat. Okay, it's a one of a kind item. I
Yeah.
can't make two of those because if I do, then it's just going to be something else I sell. It won't go for as much money. So you want competing items, right?
Yep. Yep.
But then when it comes to high schoolers, I don't want a picture frame signed by a
You're
bunch of high
past that.
schoolers, right?
Yeah.
I'm past that. So I
Yeah.
need high dollar items, but I
Yeah.
also need something that people are talking about. And so at our event last month, one of the things that, I mean, these people were like standing by the bid sheet, like, don't, like, I'm going to bid on this. Don't let this person bid on it. And
Right.
these are parents who know each other and, and it's fun. And we've won a lot of things in silent auctions by, by doing that and one upping them and trying to raise the bids and things like that.
Right.
But what a lot of these people didn't know, and I don't necessarily tell them for this, is that I offer a second trip at the
Super smart.
same price as the winning bid
Yeah.
to
To the backup
the
bidder. Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
backup bidder.
Yep.
And so they don't always take you up on it, but it's
Hmm.
definitely a way to, and I was able to go through that night and say, hey, I had someone bidding on the coast on the Italy apartment and
Hmm.
someone bidding on the big Italy trip, right?
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
said, which one do you really want? And she
Yeah.
said, well, I think I want that one, but I only put my name on that one because they were competing against me on this one.
Right. Right.
And I told her, I said, well, I know you well enough to tell you I'm going to offer you a second trip at the end of the night. If
Cool.
and so it really work in the room with
I love
with the
that.
auction,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
It's a
and
fundraiser. You're supposed to do this, right? That's what we say.
yes, it turns out she had too much to drink and her husband wouldn't let her buy it, but she but she definitely,
Awesome.
it was definitely an opportunity that we
Yeah.
didn't want to miss if we had that. So I think
Yeah.
reading your audience and knowing what you can bring in to certain events and what at a younger event, like an elementary school, maybe those parents don't have time to travel. They all have babies and they're, and they can't take a trip,
Sure.
right?
That's real. Yeah.
In high school, when you're looking at, I can take the trip and I have 2 years to book it, 3 years to take it, whatever, they're going, okay, well, my kid's a sophomore. I can take it with my
Totally.
kids, when they're all out of school. And they
We're
were
gonna
actually
celebrate.
doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I love it. You grasp so much of what we I wish everyone grasped as much as you know, Elizabeth. It's awesome. You said a couple things I want to follow up on.
Yeah.
You sold the villa in your silent auction. You guys did not have a live auction, or at least our items were not featured in the live auction last month. You sold the villa, which has a reserve price of over $4,500. It's awesome to see, and I think that there's a shift as well. You're probably noticing this at other events. Hopefully, if they're being prudent about it and thoughtful about items that they offer, items are going. That the whole shift, I guess, is what I'm saying is the items in the silent auction were able to raise a tremendous amount of money in the silent with higher ticket items, and the
Hmm.
market is proving that. I say the donor market in
Hmm.
all sorts of geographic locations. So we're seeing items like the Tuscany Villa go in the silent auction and sell for $7, $8, $1,000 and above, which is
Yeah.
really, really cool. So just having those awesome items, I like to say, and you said this too, because you were already advertising pre-event. Talk to me a little bit about just how impactful having cool items for folks to look
Hmm.
at pre-event and get excited about and quote unquote budget or pack their bags for before they even go. How it doesn't have to even be our stuff, but just having something cool that gets folks
Yeah.
inspired to go and buy tickets and stuff. Because you see the same thing at events over and over and over again. And you said it in such an eloquent way, like donor fatigue. It's like people don't want to go to the same old event if they have the same old stuff. It has to be
Right.
exciting. Yeah,
Right.
talking about advertising and utilizing those tools.
So we have a newsletter that goes out every Tuesday to all
Yeah.
of the parents and the people that were going to be attending this event. We previewed it for weeks. We
Yeah.
did spotlights of different items. We had a silent auction site, and even though we didn't end up holding anything online, we do have that ability, so we could preview things through there and let them
Perfect.
go and look at it and see it. We've had signed sports jerseys before that someone has sent someone to the auction to bid for them because
Mm.
they knew they wanted this
Yeah,
item.
you
So
mentioned that. Yeah. That's
so
right.
that's the beauty of having something that people want.
Yeah.
I think also with the trips, our particular Italy villa that you talked about went for $7,500, and we were
Awesome.
tickled with that because
Yep.
I think that yes, it was. I mean, that was a huge win for us because it did add several $1,000s to our bottom line of what we were able to raise. And I think that it's also knowledge of like people talking it up and talking around. If you have any knowledge of travel and what this actually costs, so our family went to Italy. It was a bet between my daughter and my husband that she couldn't be valedictorian of her class, and she was.
Wow.
And so he promised her a trip wherever she wanted to go, and she chose Italy. The whole family benefited. But long story short, we
Yeah.
were in Italy this summer for 14 days, and
Wow.
just looking at the cost of what it costs us for lodging alone
Hmm.
without anything else, even if I pay $8,000, $9,000 for that,
Yeah.
not that it's a bargain,
Yeah.
but if I'm going to spend money on travel anyway, and I'm going to take a trip and I'm going to take a vacation, then why not benefit something and fundraise? And
Yeah.
I think people are willing to
Yeah.
do that when it's for a good cause. So not only in previewing the item, but
Hmm.
also letting people know what you're spending the funds on when
Hmm.
you have it. I think a lot of times people are like, oh, open my checkbook again, right? You just
Hmm.
want money again.
Hmm.
No, we're going to show you, we're going to let you know what the items are being, what our money that we're raising is going to go towards, what we use it for every
Smart.
year,
Yeah.
what our special project is this year,
Yeah.
allocating that and giving some thought to that before you actually start with the event, and letting people know those things gives them a willingness to open their checkbook where they
It
might not,
invites them. Yeah. It
right?
invites them.
When your kids go to private school, there's a joke like, I'm just going to send a blank checkbook to school, because we rely on either private funds
Hmm.
or donor funds to do
Right.
everything. We don't
Right.
have tax dollars to benefit us,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so, there's a whole lot of misconception of, oh, those people just want money again. Well, what am I
Hmm.
using your money for? If I can see it, and always letting people know, like you said, a variety of items.
Hmm.
I literally had a handmade item that went for $35, but it was something that It was $35 I didn't have. It
It
was
was a one of
donated to me.
one. It was a one of one.
It was what that person could buy. So
Yep.
when I looked at the travel, it
Mhm.
was like, okay, I want to do something. So first of all, if I'm doing a trip for 6, then I'm trying to make sure that 6 people are going to get together and say they can all take this trip. So I need 3 couples, I need whatever, right?
Mhm.
A little
Mhm.
harder sometimes unless you have a bunch of best friends who get together. So I wanted to do a variety. I wanted to do some trips for 2. I wanted to do some group trips for 6.
Mhm.
I wanted some that were beachy, some that were
Mhm.
international wine experiences,
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
Bourbon is really hot right now, so I
Yeah.
wanted to do the Kentucky bourbon experience, but I tried to think about something for everyone, even in the travel. The Las Vegas, that's easy, that's quick. And I had
Yeah.
somebody come up at the end of the night and say, "Don't pick that Betty sheet up because whatever that person put down there, I'm going to get it." Because I mean,
What? How fun is that? Yeah.
if I'm going to Vegas and I need a hotel anyway, there was
Yeah.
nothing like, why not?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there's something beautiful that happens when folks leverage their giving budget and their travel budget simultaneously at these events. I've been watching it happen for the better part of 8 years now. So I'm almost half your experience. And it's easy. It's very easy. I say all the time, being the trips and experience company, to say how great these items and what have you are. And it, once again, it's just a nudge for folks to consider it. It doesn't have to be our stuff. It could be someone else's. It
Mhm.
just works. As you mentioned, there's so many different positives. It's also, we have this conversation a lot with folks where it's like, it's really okay for folks to give, an exceptional amount of money. $8,000 to a lot of people is an exceptional amount of money, right?
Yeah,
It's okay for
to me
people
it
to,
is.
yeah, I would know if that was missing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Exactly.
so
That's
watching people.
tuition for a year for one of my children. So yeah, I get
Precisely.
that.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
And folks will give that for that villa at an event. It's so lovely, and it's really okay for folks to want something, to receive something in return for making that
Yes.
donation. And that's
Yes.
really okay. That's still, by the way, that's generosity personified. And so we keep on trying to tear down that thought. A lot of people are like, let's make a straight donation. Straight donations are awesome, but we're talking about different budgets. And some folks just want something for the money, and that's
Sure.
really okay. And
Sure.
yeah, hey, do me a favor. You said something which I think is lovely. We always, of course, want folks to know where the money is going, the work that you've done, that you're doing, that you plan on doing. What was the special project for this year's event, if you don't mind me asking?
So last year we revamped the entire courtyard at school. We put
Cool.
out
Yeah.
new tables for the kids to sit out at lunch. We do all outdoor lunch unless it's indoor bad weather lunch.
Right.
This year we were increasing the safety around school. We are
Okay.
putting nice fences and gates, wrought iron fences and gates across
Nice.
the whole front of the school,
Yeah.
and increasing some of the security around school. We're also putting some of it towards a new gym that we are at capacity. We are very blessed that our school has increased enrollment and we're building new classrooms and
It's awesome.
having to build a new gym for our gatherings and things like
I
that.
love
So
it.
all of that's going towards that. And
Yeah.
our organization works with the teachers a lot. So we also fund we are an academic backers club, much like any PTO organization on campus. We do all of the non athletic endeavors for the school. So all of the clubs, the speech and debate, the student council clubs, all those types of things. We throw our support behind those kids. So
Awesome.
it all goes towards that.
That's a great. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And was the event at the gym? No, yeah.
No, we actually rent a facility, and
Okay.
that's another thing,
Yeah.
that we do have the facilities to be able to do this. We always try to get out and rent another
Yeah.
facility and get
Separate.
the
Yeah.
parents out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and get the
Yeah.
parents out for a fun night out, and we try to
Awesome.
keep the ticket prices down. Our event is actually a casino night, but we do spend money to bring in the casino,
Yeah.
the
There's
dealer
fixed
tables.
costs. Yeah.
And we also have, just to provide any beer, wine, any type of bar, even though we have a cash bar, and to provide the food is already a huge cost. So you're
Hmm.
wanting to bring in items that help supplement that. You don't want to spend all the money that you made on the auction,
Yeah.
spending the money to be able to just actually put the event on. And with the economy changing the way it is and everything going up with inflation, it's just really hard now these days to throw an event at a reasonable reasonable price.
Yeah.
And so bringing in, I actually advise the moms who are taking over for me, the volunteers who are taking over for me next year. I actually advise them to look at it and possibly do more with the travel, because I think I actually had people coming up to me saying, "Hey, do you have a trip to Nashville in there? Because we wanted to go to Nashville, and if you do, we'll buy it." And I can't imagine what everyone would want for a trip, but maybe trying to make sure that you just get kind of a variety of experiences, or maybe even asking some of your bigger donors that come to the events,
I
like,
love
what are you
that.
looking for?
Yep.
Yeah.
Polling pre-event is massive.
Yes. Yes. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing at all. No,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, we advise it. And then yet getting some feedback from folks that have bid, that were at the event, all that good stuff. And then what's interesting is that we've had such great fortune, Elizabeth, just to go around the sun with organizations over and over and over again with their events year after year after year. And what's kind of cool is that, because I don't like to push our agenda or anything like that, but you had great success, and we wanted to share it with the audience, and I appreciate it immensely. But folks end up, if there's items that were very popular at an event one year in 2023, they're going to actually come back in 2024 and expect
Yeah.
those items and others to be there. It's just playing the long game and playing the smart game with fundraising.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And when you do what we do for a school, as a
yeah.
high school, every 4 years, your donors turn over.
There's a rotation. Yeah,
And so
yeah,
unless you have alumni that are coming back, that are going to the event year after year after year,
yeah,
you can recycle some of those things, and they're
yeah.
still going to get sold, and they're still going to get done. So I think knowing your audience is key in all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey,
Yeah.
I know you have a full-time day job. You have a career waiting for you in fundraising. I just want to let you know.
Oh,
So, let
there's
me tell
only
you
one
what's going to happen.
problem with that.
You're going to be underpaid, overworked, stressed. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no, that's basically my volunteer life for the past. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it. It was always rewarding, and I
That's
always
awesome.
did it. Whether it's at church or school, I always do it.
That's
Not
awesome.
for what I get out of it, but what I can give back. Right? It's what I'm called to do. But there's only one problem with me having a career in fundraising. I don't like soliciting donations.
Sure. No one likes to get up
So
in the morning to ask for
it,
money. Yeah.
my husband doesn't mind it.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, yeah.
we make him do those things.
Oh, so
But
he's
no,
the
that's
one.
one of
So
the
he's the
reasons
one. He's the one.
that's one of the reasons that the consignment travel worked out so well for me, because I'm able to just put that up and I don't have to ask anyone for it. I
Uh,
just
Well, hey, we're so grateful that you did, and it's been awesome to work with you. And I
yeah,
can't wait to help the school moving forward. And we just appreciate the opportunity. And I mean this sincerely. I can't thank you enough for the time. I know the audience. There's so many folks listening and out there that are in the exact same position that you are, that are going to get a lot of interesting, data and feedback and encouragement from what you said. And so, Elizabeth, I just appreciate the time, and
yeah,
congrats
of
on the event. I know
course.
you all raised a lot of money, and
We
yeah,
did. We
yeah.
raised it. Look, it was an event with 300 people, and
Yeah.
we raised over $25,000. So that
Net
was,
You
yes,
netted
that was
$25,000. Yeah, good,
yes, that was
good,
really good. And
good.
we'll work together again, because I
Aw-
have lots of other volunteer
Awesome.
obligations for silent auctions that people ping me for. So
Awesome.
we'll
Well,
work
then
together again.
I'll bug you for some more time and explain how well this stuff works to other people, because it
Of
really does
course,
help.
of
It
course.
really is, Elizabeth. It has nothing to do with our products. Just folks just need to know how they can twist the dial on fundraising, and it's really,
Yeah,
really helpful. So thanks for being just so
of
open
course.
and willing to give your time. It's awesome. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. All right.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you love our podcast, click the download button, rate us, and follow us on social media at HTA Fundraising. Get out there, start fundraising, and raise more money. See you next time.